Gudevi. Hello, hello. Right, moin. Lilo, hello. Fishbone, hello. Gaby, hello to you. Axel, hello. Pilot 19, hello to you. Flying Yogi, Gudevi. Right, Kupinata, hello. And Easy, hope you're doing well. Right, welcome. Welcome to Frankfurt today. Today we're having a nostalgic kind of journey back into the past. Flying the good old 727 first of all. And then on the second flight, we're going to go with the Phantom F4 and DCS. Looking there at the Cold War Germany map. Excited, excited. Right, so flights today, as just mentioned. First, we're going to fly from Frankfurt to Nice using the 727 with the INS. And then on the second flight, we'll be in DCS, exploring the new Germany Cold War map. Fantastic. Huge A350 update is out. Yeah, good for them. Not for me today, I'm afraid. Anyways, so I've already, I don't know, I think I can only start, yeah, somebody's spamming the ground call. Really annoying. Anyways, so what we're going to do, yes, I know, I'm here. Give me a second. Blimey, could you just calm your horses? Yeah, if anybody wants to fly along, I'm on the multi-server. Okay, we're not on VATSIM.
Could new subscribers please make your way to the first class cabin, where complimentary drinks, snacks and premium flight entertainment will be served. Thank you.
We're on live time and we're going to be on live weather.
79 months of best flight sim edutainment. Thank you, Captain Blackbox.
Thank you so much.
As always, you stream and I subscribe. BB711 beloved.
You subscribe and I stream. Thank you so much, MEN. Maybe you're flying along today. I'm not sure. So we are on the German. Is it called? Is it West Germany West or something? No, European. Sorry, European West server. European West, as always. Yeah. So MEN, just to make sure, right? So we are. Let me see. A34. I mean, that could be him there. Busy. Right, I'm going to go with the pre-flight checklist stuff. So that's the flight engineer, just like in the real aircraft. The flight engineer obviously does a lot of stuff for you. Yeah, guys, so once again, anybody flying along, I'll be on the multiplayer server, European West. It should be Lufthansa 321, but hey, yeah, I mean, like... Right, so the flight engineer is already doing his stuff there. Yeah, I don't know who's calling me all the time. Hang on. It must be ground or something. Hang on. Yeah. Hold on. Gotta wait for the FE to get the power on. Yeah. So regarding navigation.
Radio master is on. Parking brake is on. Galley power on.
God, this is gonna stop. This is like so annoying. Hang on.
Oil quantity test complete.
Where's my ground control? Oh, there. Hang on. So let's.
Engine 1, Engine 2, Engine 3, APU bleed open.
Oh, 2-2? Oh, wow, that's going to be interesting. Yeah, for sure.
Pax trip-off warnings tested.
Guys, I don't know what this is. What's happening?
Fuel dump switches closed. Fuel dump valve intersit lights tested. Fuel dump nozzle intersit lights tested. Fire bell test completed.
Carlos knows. Okay, so on the pedestal you have a telephone. Click that.
Annunciator panel tested.
Is it this one here? Oh.
Compass source set to
Roger.
Thanks, Carlos. You're the winner. You're the the savior.
main panel lights checked.
Okay, so when that's like a cabin call,
Throttle warning horn tested.
and then you kind of take the headset here, click that, and then
Switch set
you can answer the call from the cabin. Oh, thank God for
Pre-flight
that.
checks complete.
Right, so pre-flight checks complete. Cool. Regarding navigation, so here it is. Let me give you a quick rundown. One thing I've not done, and I should have done that, I should have actually prepared the flight plan in the Lido format. Really, really important, because that way you're going to get the waypoint coordinates. So I usually use the Lufthansa format, but that does not have the coordinates. So what I'm going to do is I am going to use the Lido format and then generate that again. And that way I can load the new flight plan. And then I'll show you what I mean. So here's the flight plan now in the Lido format. And so here now, you can see all of the waypoints, they now have coordinates, which we can enter into the Siva. Yes, I'll be talking about some real world experiences. So believe it or not, this actually has a very memorable moment for me. So probably not the exact same aircraft, but I flew with the Lufthansa 727 from Cologne to Hamburg in 1989 to do my airline assessment tests in Hamburg. And I flew back Hamburg to Cologne in the 737-200 Lufthansa, 1989. That was just about a year before the 727s were phased out. The 737-200 were phased out in 1996, I think. Yeah, that would definitely be a busy flight today. However, now what I've done is I have prepared something some time ago, actually, but I just found it today. A little kind of workshop file. I'm going to talk about the HSI a little bit during the flight, because I think that could be interesting for some people. So let me just call up the file. Hold on. So let me just adjust that. Hang on. There we go. There we go. All right. So that's better. So yeah, we're going to go through the HSI. So what all of these things mean, all the indications. And then also we'll discuss some interesting little bits and pieces about some downsides of the HSI. Because there are a couple of things that you have to understand about the indications and about some peculiar things when you get close to a VUR station. But we'll discuss that during the flight. I always wonder how many people would actually, get such an aircraft and fly it. Maybe even even in you know, on VATSIM or something. If you listen to the engines from inside with the main door open and windows closed, they sound proper. With the windows open, they sound wonky. Okay, that's weird. Okay. So let me just go ahead, quickly have a look at the tower view here. So that's MAN flying along. Beautiful. Exactly. And so for now, what we're going to do, I'm going to align this. And we are using today the... Oh, hang on, what's my camera? What's up to my camera? That's a shame. Oh, well, so we are using the Brunner yoke with this. Looking forward to how it runs. So first of all, what we're going to do, I'm going to go find myself the position that we're at. So what I'm going to do, and let me just zoom in here a little bit. So I hope you can see that better now. So I'm going to put this to the position slot here, so that you can see now for the alignment, we need to insert the initial position so the INS knows where we're starting from. We still get the info on our charts. So if you go to taxi, and then we go to and find the position and coordinates. So INS coordinates, for example, Frankfurt, all right? So what you're going to do, we're going to have a look at which parking spot we're parked at. Alpha 20 is where we're parked at. So Alpha 20 is this one here. So the first line there. So that's going to be 50 north 02.8 minutes, 2 minutes 8 seconds, and then east 8 degrees 34 minutes 0 seconds. So that's what we're going to enter into the box here. As always, be very careful when doing that. First of all, we have to select N for north, and that was 50028. So 50028, insert. Then we press east, so echo number 6 key for east, and then it's 008 and then 340, 008340, and again insert. So now the alignment process can start. I'm going to put this now to this next notch, which is the waypoint notch, and then I can select the waypoints. All in all, so 0 is the starting point. And so I have 9 waypoints initially that I can program. And once we get close to 9, I have to reprogram starting from number 1 again. So Cargo Guy, you just bought it today. I hope you enjoy that. And Mert says in 1989 he was a vitamin. Lol. I know, right? It's a long time ago. No joke. Cool. Then... obviously, we have the second problem, and that is, of course, these days, most departures or most arrivals are RNF coded. So we really have a problem departing with aircraft that are not RMP or RNF capable. Nevertheless, what we're going to do, we're going to depart with... That's the reason why I'm not on VATSIM today, because that way, if we're not 100% correct here today, then nobody's going to bother. So what we're going to try and get on that departure route here. Let me just call that up for you guys. So here we go. So we'll start out 18 departure Aniki to Lima. So we're going to fly around Delta Fox 137, then Delta Fox 101. And then the first waypoint that I'm going to enter is going to be Aneki. And so Aneki I have here on the list with the position in here. So that's what I'm going to program in now as waypoint 1, okay? Yeah, one thing I don't know if it actually simulates things like you know, drift and so on. I don't know if it does that. So Aneki, waypoint 1, Aneki 4919.0, insert, east 008 28.8. So 008 28.8. Insert. Waypoint 2. So the next is going to be direct Karlsruhe. So Karlsruhe is a VOR, obviously, 15.95, which we can select on the VOR later on. And then I'm going to enter that as north 48596. Insert. East 00835.1. Insert. Then we've got the next waypoint is going to be Trasedingen. Another VOR. So that is north 471. So 4741.4. 4741.4. And then east 008 again. 26.2. 26.2. Insert. When do you think the FS Labs Neo? I have no idea. Again, I'm not in contact with them. I'm not testing for them. I'm not in any ways affiliated with them. I have no idea when FS Labs comes out. So north, again, next point was then in Cannes. So Trasedingen Cannes in Italy, 46. So north 4610. 0. Insert. East 00852.9. Insert. And then it's direct in Noba. So number 5. In Noba, north 4418.0. And then east 00818.4. Insert. And then we have Bordi on number 6, north again, 4401.4. And then east, now this time it's 007, 45.1. Insert. And then we're on the arrival routing, the Bordi 7 Romeo. We'll do that either, yeah, whatever we get there, we'll see. But those are the waypoints. So normally, it should get us ready for nav. So green light would show us that the alignment is complete. Now we can go to status. That should tell us the alignment process. But again, I don't know how well that is simulated. You can move the clipboard from the engineer seat area above. Hang on. Hang on. You can. Hold on. What? Not that one, the bottom left. And Iowa Scotsman, how are you doing? Nice to see you. Hope you're doing well. So, yeah, where? So here's the takeoff calculations. So do we have... do we have all on board? That's the question. So fuel. Now, where's my fuel gauges here? I'll have a look in the front. There's fuel flow, pressure, hydraulic pressure. Yeah, normally the fuel... Oh, hey, look at that. So this is counting down, it seems like. So maybe that is still a little bit... Oh, do you mean... So you do mean that clipboard there? Okay. So there we go. So pre-flight. Oh, boarding completed. Okay. So that's good. Boarding is completed. Yeah, all players. Yeah, I think so. Ted, yeah. So let's have a look here at the panel. Where do I find lights? Lights. Lights. So overhead panel bright, forward panel, center panel, left side panel. Right. So then we've got panel. Let's get the dome light on just a tad here. Ah, there we go. Good. Okay, so let's have a look if we can find the fuel quantity. Here's the fuel quantity. So, but these are pounds. Lol. So, pounds. So, kilograms to pounds conversion. So 1 kilogram is 2.2 pounds, correct? So in total, we have 3765 times 3, which is about 11,300 kilograms. Is that enough? Hang on. Didn't we have like 12 tons takeoff fuel? Yeah, we got block fuel 12.3. Are you trying to kill me? So let's do it this way, shall we? So we want 4 here. That's about 11. So that's 13. Let's take that. Smoky Joe. All right, let's check this here now. So we got, let's do this together. So we got 6, 7, 8, just above 8,000 pounds, 8,200 pounds, I would say. So 8,200 times 2 is 16,400 plus another 8,000 pounds. So that's 24,400 pounds divided by 2.2. That's that's 11 tons. Hold on. I don't want to crash because let's disable that. Let's check again. It's not the same. In the clip table, you can see the flight plan. You mean on the FE panel? Right, let me go fetch the fueler here. Okay. But I don't know. Does it make sense to do it like this? 12. Let's try like this. So that's 12,300. But I'm gonna just a little bit more for taxi. That's still the same. That hasn't changed. What else? Anybody know? Anybody else? What else have to do to get the aircraft? Right. Let's enable it. Let's try that again with GSX then. Request fueling.
Refueling truck is on its way.
Yeah, it should be about 26,500 pounds. I agree. So let's see if we can get it working this way. In the meantime, I will wait for the fuel truck. Oh, look at that! Now we got the align light here. We are ready. Okay, so I'm going to put this now to nav, and then we can put the waypoint 1 in here. So we're going from 0 to 1. So
fuel
from
truck is in position.
The initial. Okay, so let's try that. So now that's showing 0. Fuel leak. Right, let's be patient. Let's give him a few more seconds. All right, so the Karlsruhe VOR is the first VOR that we're going to get to, and that's 1595. So let's put in here 1595. And then the second one is going to be transiting at 14.3. So I'm going to put this the other way around in here. 14.3 in there. All right, cool. And also what we can see on the routing, if we go and have a look at that, we can see that it's about 78 miles at 181 degrees. And from Anneki inbound to Karlsruhe, it's 164. So I'm going to dial that in first of all. in here. So course, I'm going to put in 164. Oh. .164. And the first heading is 166. Sorry, 176 for takeoff. So behind the captain's seat in the wall. Okay. Hang on. So behind the captain's seat. Ah, okay. There's a clipboard there. Interesting. So if I click on that, nothing happens though. Right, that's annoying with the fueling. I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong, but what I'm going to do is... The fuel is already gone again. GG. So what I'll do... I am going to set the fuel now with the fuel menu here. So we're going to take kilograms. So like I said, I want to have about 4,400, 4,500 there and there. And so here we'll have about 3,000. Okay. So now we've got about 20,000 plus 7, so 27,000 pounds. So that should be enough now. Cool. Excellent. Right, let's do takeoff stuff now. So we got runway 18. Flaps 15 takeoff. What's the weather today? Let me check that real quickly. So we have weather. Frankfurt, we have currently QH 1013. There we go. So 1013 is fine. Temperature is indeed 10 degrees. And the wind is 270 at 8 knots. Max takeoff is 88. 2.01 EPR. Takeoff N1 is 92.49. So I'm going to set the speeds. So we've got V1134. That's this bug here. Then we've got the 134 as well as rotate, and V2 is 135. So pretty much all the first buck, really. So I think that's flaps 5 minimum speed is 162, flap 2 minimum speed is 192, and up speed is 202 knots minimum speed. Yeah, so it has the same scales here on the flap indication there. So we got up 2, 5, 15, 20, 25, 30. That looks good. Cool. Now, regarding the real time, we want to be arriving at daytime in these, or at least maybe sunset time or something. So I'm going to put this to this time here, 37. There we go. Right, so we've done the calculations. The bugs EPR, well, we've got to remember that 2.01. And then takeoff N1 92.5. Takeoff trim is 3.75. Let's have a look here. 3.75. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So about here, 3.75 set. Cool. I don't know. So Pratt, let me just do a flight, and then we'll see. I don't know. I guess it's just a matter of realism, descent calculation later on. So that's fine. So we can get rid of that, and let's talk to the flight engineer. Let's do the before start.
4-star check started.
Right. So do the.
Nav beacon and logo light set. Emergency exit lights are.
So I'll close the doors myself.
Radio's on. Departure briefing complete.
Right.
Alternate flaps off.
Hello, Captain. We are ready for pushback.
Stall warning tested. Engine and wing anti-ice off. Flight control shutoffs on. Anti-skid tested. Comparators checked.
Ride slow. Pull up.
Ground proximity warning system checked.
So ATC transponder on. We're going to put beacon OS on.
Airspeed
Departure checks completed. Bypass pin is
yaw
started.
dampers on.
So he's doing his checks. Fantastic.
Throttle warning horn tested. Stabilizer trim checked. Trim tested and set.
Yeah.
Flight director checked. Boost pumps 1 on.
Locking gear.
Hydraulic pump 1 is on. Fire control checked. Flight recorder checked.
Now,
DC
the
power
first altitude is going to be
hydraulic pumps on. Rudder power checked and on.
4,000 feet.
Radio master is on. Chocks combs and snares disconnected. The 4-star checks complete.
Release parking brakes. Cease.
Brakes released.
Commencing push. All engines clear.
Thank you.
Start at will.
Start at will. So let's have a look. How do we start the engines? So we'll start one first. Ignition, ignition, ignition. There was something with ignition. Yeah. Right, there we go. So we got N2 rotation there. So I'm going to wait about 25%. Here's fuel on. Yeah, we've got a good light up. So EGT is increasing. Now I'm monitoring for a hot start. N1 is increasing. N2 is increasing. Oh, that peaked already. So that's stable. We'll do the same now with engine 2. Now, I did some flight testing with this bird already, and it flies really nicely. Very stable. Which is a good thing. I mean, I don't know. I remember that people telling me the real aircraft flew absolutely beautifully as well. Here comes fuel. And we have light up.
Happens, remain seated and pull the mask tight to start the oxygen flow. Please place the mask firmly over your nose and mouth and breathe normally.
Yeah, Fishbone, exactly. Like I said, back to the roots. Right, that's a good start on engine number 2. Let's start engine number 3. There's 25%. Here comes fuel.
Reset parking brake.
Oops. Brake set.
Waiting your confirmation for good engine start.
Good light up.
Cockpit to ground. We have a good engine start. You can disconnect.
Peaking about 450 degrees. Beautiful. All right, good engine start. Let's cover that, and let's get the after start flows. Here comes flaps 15. Yeah. Oh God. Yes. Yes. Go ahead. Cabin is secure. Thank you.
Hydraulic system pumps all on. Nav beacon and logo light set. Emergency exit lights are.
Tow truck disconnected. Bypass pin removed. Left is clear. Right is clear.
It's a beautiful plane, isn't it? Gotta love it. So, yeah, so I'll do a flight control check really quickly. Up, down, left, right, and rudder, left, right. Checked.
Ground proximity warning system check. Flight instruments all on one. Airspeed warning check. Yaw dampers on. Spoilers to 10. Flight director checked. After start checks complete.
Fantastic. Let's taxi. Lights on. Strobes off. Left side clear, right side clear. Let's see how it taxis. And I have a proper 3 throttle setup here. Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to check. Do we have the option regarding camera movements? Regarding the camera shake. Be careful here. Nope. So we're going to follow MAN. So we set the initial heading, climbing 4,000 feet initially. So we'll be climbing on heading 176 to about 2 dms, and then we'll go 174 until about 15 dms, and then we'll go to Aniki, which is waypoint 1, 4,000, MSA 4,300. Then we'll continue to climb, and cruising level is set to be 290. 2.01 EPR. And we're all clear. Taxis nicely. Not too not too sensitive in the rudder and nose of steering, which is nice. So let's do the taxi checks. Taxi checks.
Taxi lights are on. Flaps 15.
15. Checked.
EPR is set to 0.01.
Yeah, that's correct. That's the bug
Trim is
there.
set to 0.07. Probe heat on.
It should be a chase plane.
Taxi checks complete.
Thank you. So it should be a chase plane, yeah. It's quite funny to see the angle. MAN, something's wrong with your nose gear. Just saying, it doesn't look right. Slow down a bit for the sharp turn. It's also oh, blimey, that was a big dent in the taxiway. It's always interesting that the slats on the flaps really bulky. Okay, MAN, thank you much. Yeah, I just heard I can go first. Cool. Alrighty. Yeah, it is a low riding. Okay, let's do before takeoff.
Before takeoff, check start. Auto brakes set to RTO.
That's a nice feature.
Essential power on Gen 3.
I mean, you don't have to use this,
Anti-skid is on.
but honestly,
Strobe lights on.
it does help a lot.
Landing lights on.
And I mean, these are the things that the FE, a lot of the, well, pretty much all of the items the FE will do anyways. Maybe not the lights. But that way, it really does help with your workload, which is nice.
Air condition check and set. Pack trip normal.
Hey Matte, buonasera.
Before takeoff, checks complete.
Thank you. So, I know I do have an auto throttle, which I think is unrealistic, but it just does help with it. So that's why we do have auto throttle available today. So there we go. MAN, I'll see you in Nice. Here we go. Are we all ready? Time is now is it 4:52 or something? 53? Takeoff. Now comes the difficult part, trying to set exactly the power. And also, it's an engine pressure ratio, meaning as you speed up, the EPR changes as well. 80 knots was checked. That's about right. EGT is looking okay. Rotate. Oh, that was a bit sensitive. Right, gear up. So let's go flight director heading and approximately 15 degrees pitch. Speed is stable. Gear is up and off. Here we are, acceleration. So that was flaps 5 min speed here, the first bug. So we go with flaps 5. Beautiful. Right, we are in nav mode. If I put this to GNS, no, to nav mode, I think it should be correct. Hang on. No, so this should be nav mode. So we're going to clean up the aircraft, going to accelerate, clean up. Here comes flaps 2. Very stable in its the way it flies. And let's go flaps 2, flaps up. Oh, are they? Oh no, I just say, are they stuck? No, now they go up. Okay, cool. Right, let's continue climb up to flight level 290. I'm going to put the autopilot on, heading select first of all. And alt select, so alt select armed. Then I'm going to put the vertical speed down a little bit more. So here's the control wheel for the vertical speed so that we can go and reach 250 knots. And once I'm at 250 knots, I'm going to put this to indicate airspeed hold down here. Just breaking through the clouds here. Beautiful. Ah, beautiful. Yeah, it does skyrocket, I agree. What a beauty. Good, 250 knots. I'm going to put this to indicate airspeed hold. And we're already going to put, we're already on standard altimeter setting. So 1013 is set. Now, one more thing though. I'm not sure. What is what? What is nav and what is so if I put 1, 2, insert, I'm not sure why that is a wrong indication there. That doesn't make sense. Yeah, why does it say GPS? But that is clearly VOR, isn't it? Yeah, 43 miles, because that's the first VOR that we dialed in. HD7, thanks so much. How are you doing? Right, let me just dial down the vertical speed a bit to speed up again. Well, I'm going to go track towards the VOR. That's the only thing we have right now. Going back to indicator airspeed hold. That's VOR lock. Right, so we're now following that radial inbound to Targeting, but we're not really following. Has anybody seen another stream somewhere how they got the nav mode working here? Or is that bugged or something? Yeah, that's the thing. It just makes sense. And if I put GPS, right? Look at the scale here. Right, it makes no sense. It points backwards, and I mean I can go and do a waypoint change, go 2 to 3, but nothing happens. It doesn't give me any infos regarding the distance to the waypoint, etc. Just increase the power settings there. Righty, let's have the passenger signs, if I find them. There we are. Seatbelts off. All right, let's go towards Targeting in the meantime. Oh, sorry, Karlsruhe was the first one. So Karlsruhe, and on the second set, yeah, that should be VOR 94 miles. So that's That's Traseding. This is Karlsruhe. 17 miles away from that. Okay, so you think the GPS means at some point the yeah, but like this, right? Yeah, but like I said, I'm using the SIVA INS, right? And I'm a bit bummed that I don't know why it does not show up on the HSI. I'm looking for another switch or something. Let's have a look. Well, the thing is though, you see, that's the problem. So if I go to auxiliary nav, now it's got nothing there really. Oh, that's a bit of an issue. So now we're going 3 to 4, and if I'm not mistaken, 4 should be Traseding. So maybe it does follow the nav track. Maybe it does do that, but it doesn't show that on the compass rose. So maybe this is really strictly just for the VUR indications. He wears the magenta line, yeah. Well, I don't need a magenta line. But at least, you know, I would love to have some sort of indication to understand what it's doing. So the track should be 181. Right, so this is the actual track to the next VOR. So I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to go and fly in heading mode. Let's do heading select. And that way I can at least track the radial here. Thank you. So regarding the HSI, guys, it's something very fundamental you have to understand. So this is a nice instrument. It gives you kind of a top-down view, right? You have your compass rose, which shows the magnetic heading. It shows you where the VOR station is located in reference to your aircraft. So right now that triangle is showing backwards, meaning the station is behind us. However, so 16 miles behind us, we're flying away from it. And this is the displacement line of our radial that we have selected. So right now, we are trying to fly outbound. You see another little triangle there, showing us the radial we're flying. So we want to fly the radial 181 outbound towards the next station, Traseding, okay? So this is 5-degree offset and this is 10-degree offset. Now, And there's one fundamental thing you have to understand. This shows an angular displacement, not a pure lateral. Let me just get this aircraft into engaged, auto throttle engaged for the current speed. There we go. So we'll keep that speed. So what I mean by that is that what matters is how far away you are from that tuned station. So if you're very close to that station, then the angular displacement changes rapidly, right? So this lateral deviation bar becomes very sensitive the closer you get to the station, and because less sensitive the further out you go. That's something you have to understand. But this shows the degree of displacement from your radial. So here's an example. So we're flying currently, let's say, we would be tracking inbound to Sacramento VOR. Okay, we're flying. So we are flying in this direction, okay? So let me draw in a radial. Why isn't that working? There we go. So you can see that's 5 degrees and that's 10 degrees off, let's say, okay? Okay, Ted, I'll have a look in that minute. So let me just check. So you can see that the distance between those radials, so the lateral displacement in nautical miles here, gets larger the further away you get from the station, right? Oops. And the further you get closer to that means that it will become more sensitive. Right, so Ted says to couple the autopilot, you engage auxiliary nav autopilot. Remember that the HSI is not coupled to the INS. Okay, so you mean there's no indication anywhere apart from, so you have to remember which waypoints you're flying to. But the problem is, Ted, I was on course to Traseding. So let me just see what happens now as we pass. So I'm just checking that the number 4 is Trasedingen. It should be, hang on. Ah, okay, no, that's the next waypoint. Hold on. So let me change the waypoint to 3, insert. Yeah, it's doing something. So waypoint number 3 is Trasedingen, okay? So it's now trying to recapture that path, and it does make sense because we're slightly east of that track line. So let's see if it tries to intercept our track between Karlsruhe and Trasedingen. Yeah, it's doing something, yeah. Yeah, Ted, you could be right. You could be right. Maybe that's it. Because it is following that line now. Cool, all right. Then we shall continue that way. It hand flies beautifully. It's nice and stable, and Real World pilots said to me as well that it was hand flying absolutely beautifully. Right, there's an alert, meaning most likely we're getting very close to the next waypoint. So what we should be doing normally is that we should be going into maybe heading mode, or so if I go and put this to distance, that tells us now the distance from the station, from that waypoint. So 7 miles, meaning about I think that's the time, yeah, about 0.8 minutes. So this indication is the lateral distance, so the ground distance to the waypoint. The VOR indication is a bit different. It always gives you the slant distance to the VOR station. Right, let's change that 3 to 4, insert. So now the aircraft should turn to the left, which it does. And the course should be 165, approximately, to the next station. One thing I'm confused about is, so let me just dial that in, 114.3. So that is now the Trazading VOR station, and we are flying away from it nicely on the 165 radial. Cool. Now let me just charge up my iPad pen so I can draw a little bit more later on. Now, if I remember correctly, on some other add-ons that we have, like, was it the Flight JSIM? I'm pretty sure that if you select the nav mode for the programmed coordinates, then this changes the display as well on the HSI, or maybe even the Concorde. So here now, you've got to be very careful in keeping track of your waypoints. So we are now going inbound to Cannes, waypoint Cannes. Ted, let me do a landing, and I'll tell you how it lands, and then I can tell you whether or not I think it's worth the money. Now for preparations, regarding, let's have a look here, draw. Paint. Ha. So let me just quickly draw something for you. Right, so that's the VOR station, okay? This is the ground, okay? And we are flying up here, okay? Now I know it's a very crude drawing, okay? We'll survive that. That's the wing, that's the stabilizer. So we're going this way, okay? So one thing you have to understand is that the distance from the DME, so the distance to the station, does not represent this distance, okay? Okay, so here we have the DME, okay? So DME, okay, and that's a VOR here as well, okay? So that's the station, okay? So what you do have is what we call the slant distance, okay? So what you have indicated in the cockpit on the DME distance is this distance here, the green line. Okay? So you can imagine if you then get exactly overhead the station, you would normally think the DME distance would also show 0, right? Because you're right overhead that station, okay? But no, it doesn't. What it does tell you, it shows you the vertical distance from the station again, right? Slant distance. So you could do some maths, right? So if you have, let's do it easier. So if you're at 30,000 feet, which is about 10,000 meters, so 10 kilometers, which is about 5 miles, let's say, okay? So exactly overhead the station, if you're at 30,000 feet, your distance here will show 5 miles. Right? Simply because it's a slant distance from your measuring equipment in the aircraft down to the transmitter on the ground. Right? So that's something you have to consider when you look at your turning points. So let's say if you're doing a procedure where you overfly the station first, and then once you see the needle drop or the to from indication change, right, then you would then turn to re-intercept the next radial, so the outbound radial from that station. However, if you want to do a intercept and fly by the station so that you don't have to do a re-intercept later on, which means more track miles, then you would have to look at your distance to the station. But remember, depending on the altitude, that you have to give it some more distance as a lead. All right, because the smallest value at this altitude that we'll get is about 4.5 or 5 miles on that indicator here. Wow, look at the Alps here, beautiful. Lol, that's the Pinocchis. So how many miles are we away from the next station here? So let's go again. We got 29 miles. Now this is different though, right? So this, guys, this, however, right, this distance here, that is an actual fact. This distance, right? Senshai, good evening. So that's the difference between the DME indication and the distance from the SIVA. I don't know. How many waypoints did I program? Oh yeah, you're right. I did program Cannes, in Nova, I think, and Bordy. I think Bordy was the last one. Yeah, so this is Bordy. I'll show you that on the airplane. Right, so this is Bordy, and then we have to check for the star. Hang on. Hey Senshai, wie geht's dir? Nice to see you. Good evening. So then we go to Amgel. Now I'm not sure. Do I have? Do I get the? The waypoints. Amgel. No, probably not. And I'm not sure if I have a list here for the waypoints. It doesn't look like it. Yeah, the thing is though, we want to try to, you know, if we can get a coordinate for Amgel, what I could do is obviously I could try to do that on the flight plan so that it does give me the coordinates. Oh, disregard, I have it. I have it here. I do have it. Cool. So yeah, so we can program those waypoints in as well. Excellent. All right, so let me do that. So we're going to go program Amgel, which is 4349.9 and east 00722.5. Then we've got Mikru 43. Gotta be careful, got a turn coming up. 4340.8. And then east 00732.7. Oh, insert. Right, so let me just check that we have waypoint. Oh, hang on. So did it do that automatically now? Hold on, let me just check. It may change automatically. So now we're flying to Inoba. Inoba is 4418. Yeah, that's waypoint 5. Oh, it changed automatically. Well, that's neat. So we don't have to do that manually. Cool. Good to know. The track should be 189. Just as a reference. Bit of crosswind here. Cool. So the last waypoint we had was Mikru, and then we have Yeah, I'll tell you what we'll do though. We'll go to Otoke and then we'll go get ourselves kind of radar vectors and then get established automatically on the arrival. So that's the last waypoint I'm going to put in is the that waypoint here, but we're not going to fly all the way to Otoke. Just on the way somewhere, we'll try to establish ourselves then raw data on the approach. So the approach that we're going to fly, let me just recheck the weather. At Nice. So currently they have 180 at 4, which, I mean, it's in real life, I think they would actually take 04, but because the 22 approach is much nicer, we'll fly the 22 approach. It's more challenging. So we've got good visibility, 10 kilometers or more, view 5,300, scattered 26,000, 60 degrees, 1013. That makes it a lot easier. Okay, so that means we're going to go and look for the runway 22 right approach. So we have a viewer Bravo, followed by the visual Bravo. So what we're going to do is we're going to go outbound. Okay, so outbound from Mikru, and then we're going to turn somewhere to intercept that 268 radial inbound to Alpha Zulu Romeo. All right, so get inbound established. We have Batpo at 15 miles from the station at 3,000 feet, and then descent point is at 12 DMEs, and we descend down to minimums of 2,000 feet, 1,500 feet here, 1,500 feet, at which point we have to see the runway, and from that point onwards, if we see the runway, we'll continue visually, and the visual is exactly as the name says, it's a visual approach, so we're going to try and judge our altitude according to the distance from the threshold, right? So the VOR is not exactly at the threshold, but to be honest, that's good enough for me. So we can, we're going to fly the path as depicted here, all right, around the beach line, trying to get ourselves established onto the center line of runway 22 right. And yeah, missed approach prior to visual contact with the runway is at 5.5 Azure. That's a missed approach point. Should we have to abort the approach there, it'll be left turn, max 185 knots, intercept outbound ready 138, and climb to 3,000 feet. Outbound over the water. If we are in the visual circling of the approach, then we'll do the balk landing, meaning we'll continue to the runway, overfly the runway, and just go straight ahead to 3,000 feet and then left again to try another approach. So that would be the idea. That looks like that, pretty straightforward. So let's program in Otoke. So Otoke North 4331 7, and it's east 008 077. Insert 4307. Yep. Cool. And there we go. On number 2 set, I'm already going to dial in the Azure VOR. So that was 109.65, because that's going to be crucial later on regarding our navigation and regarding our descent planning. So so once we receive the station, we'll have the DME distance on this display here. Now for navigation cross-check. Let me see if we can find a VUR nearby. Oh, we just passed Milan Malpensa. 1335. So here. So what I can do is, I'm just going to dial that in. And there we go. So I can see that we are outbound on the course radio 192 currently, and we're about 20 miles away from the field, which looks good. That means we have 95 miles to the next point. If I dial this in, it says 60. Hang on. Oh no, because that's from Cannes, not from the station. That's from Cannes. Disregard. Not from the VOR, obviously. So. Yeah. So Ted, it's here. So you are correct. It's here. The thing is, you have no indication that you're actually tracking the correct path. All you can look at and see if it is pointing correctly towards that that station, or that waypoint. Sorry. So this shows you the desired track, right? So that's what it's trying to fly to the next station, which is Enoba, which is correct. I mean, so you can see the aircraft position there, and it's tracking exactly the programmed path. So that is correct. All right. But this is just a raw data indication of the VOR that you've tuned. And currently we've tuned Milan and Malpensa, which is behind us, shown by that triangle there. 33 miles. Good. Okay, so regarding our descent planning, so what we have to do is we have to check the restrictions first of all. So let me have a look here. So we've got Bordy 170 below, okay? So let me work that out first. So 17,000 feet from our current cruise level at 29,000 feet is 12,000 feet that we have to lose, okay? Now currently we are doing a ground speed of 450 knots, okay? Which means we're doing about 7.5 miles per minute. So 12,000 feet that we have to lose. And let's say we want to have 1,500 feet per minute, which would take about 8 minutes, roundabout, roughly, right? 8 minutes. So 8 times 8 is about 64, correct? So about 65 miles prior to Bordy, we will start our descent. It seems the IRS drifting is not simulated. Yeah, it could be Pilot 19, yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. So what you also have here... Oh, hang on, we have to do the... one thing I forgot here.
After takeoff checks. Ignition set to on. Landing lights on. Land flaps are off. Hydraulic system component is off. After takeoff checks complete.
Right. So look at this here. So we've just worked this out, okay? So if we have a target... Oh, sorry. Target of 17,000 feet... 17,000 feet. It calculates with 16 feet per minute, and it takes about 40 miles. Oh, it's nice. It has a flight log. Look at that. It actually keeps track of your fuel burn, which is nice. So 40 minutes, fuel burned, 3.5 tons, and the total fuel required is trip fuel about 6,000. So that looks pretty good. Looks okay to me. No, not yet. I have not had the overspeed bug yet. No, all good on my side. Right. So what you can do is you can use this tool here. So what you could do is like say, okay, then we'll descend about 45 miles prior to Bordy with 1500 feet per minute. Oh, hang on. That was 1013. Temperature on the ground, obviously, that was on the ground is 16 degrees, and the wind is 180 at 4. There we go. Yeah, we'll do a flap 30 landing. Gross weight currently 69.3 tons. Okay, does that make sense? Planned landing weight is takeoff weight is 75 minus the trip fuel, so 69 tons. Yeah, that's about right. So that should be about the landing weight, and so we need about 1,600 meters, which is plenty. I'm going to set the speed box already for that. So approach speed is 139. Oh, that's stupid. That reset my speed bug. Hang on. Let me change that again. Got to be careful. So here I'm setting the orange target speed, about 290 knots or something. And then we have auto throttle engaged. Right, so we are getting close to our next waypoint in Nova. We take the dial to distance time. Yeah, about 8 miles. Now we've learned it will switch over automatically to the next waypoint. And the waypoint that we're going to fly to then is Bordy. Oh, we have to start descent now, actually. Lol. So now let's do that. Let's go vertical speed down. And we're going to aim for auto throttle off. That's very sensitive. Hold on. So it has switched over automatically to the next waypoint, which is nice. Now I'm going to try to get a nice vertical speed. Well, we need about 2,000 feet per minute now to make Bordy. We're a bit late. Bordy is only 30 miles away. And we have to be 17 or level 170 or below. Course should be about 232, depending on the wind. So we're doing about 8 miles per minute, and we need about 5 minutes with that descent rate. 5 minutes, 40 miles. No, that will not do. So we really have to increase our descent rate even more. Let's go idle power. Gear warning. So 3 minutes, yeah, 3,000 feet per minute, that should now be working. So 3,000 feet per minute should be okay. Right, alt select, that's good. Let's do some cinematics in the descent here, beautiful. Hey Ghost, hello. And Lilienthal, hello to you. Sorry for the late call out. Lilienthal, I hope you're having a nice nice free day. Same for everyone. Hope you're all enjoying the Easter break. Beautiful. So the reason for the limit here, 17,000 below, but we have then Amgel 11,400 or above, and that's because of the terrain below us. And you can see that from the chart, the lowest that we're allowed to go down is 11,400, and the T stands for terrain clearance. All right, so we have Bordy coming up in approximately 12 miles. And we're going to lose another 5,000 over 20 miles. So then we can go and reduce the descent rate a bit. So now we would be cleared down to, let's say, 12,000 feet, or level 120. And so we're 30 miles away. What? Oh God, guys! I'm sorry to hear that you have so much trouble in your flight sim. That's really sad. Right, 7 miles. Let's see. Can we do it? 6 miles, 3,000 feet per minute. Come on, come on. We can do it. Yeah, we're gonna make it. 17,000 feet below. Easy peasy. All right. We managed that restriction nicely. So now, out select. Let me go 12,000 feet. However, now we're going to do 2,000 feet per minute. Roundabout. That we're going to add a bit of thrust here. And there we go. 20 miles to go to the next waypoint, which is Amgel. I am going to reduce the speed just a tad. Yeah, so Ted, that's a really good point that you're making. Because that's something I was thinking about the other day, because people were saying, oh, flying has become so much easier these days, right, compared to earlier. Well, has it really? I mean, look at the setup of this aircraft. You had a flight engineer who took away a lot of your workload regarding, well, he didn't reset the altitude. Test. Now I've got to do his work. Test. All right. So he did a lot of work for us, right? Meaning that we can concentrate on other things, right? And yes, flying-wise, it was a bit different. So we had to...
Please remain in your seats with your seatbelts fastened and pull down your armrests.
So, yeah, it was just different, right? I wouldn't say it was more stressful. It was just a bit different regarding your workload. It was just distributed differently, and you know, you had to navigate a bit differently, right? With these instruments, you had to be continuously, you know, setting VORs. do kind of mental math, right, regarding your descent rate or descent profiles. So there's a lot more kind of raw data stuff going on. But I think it's just a matter of getting used to it and getting kind of into that groove of looking ahead, right? And also, of course, you had to make your own mental picture regarding regarding your flight and regarding your position and so on, right? Uh-oh, the sim froze. Oh, Jesus, don't do that to me, please. Whew. All right, let's take a deep breath. Exhale. Right, it's all good. It was just a freeze. Right, here we go. So we're on course to Angel right now, just about to turn. 7 miles to go. And yeah, level 120 is the lowest at the moment because of that terrain below us there. Look at that. Isn't it beautiful? Look at that. So nice. I'm going to stay at about 250 knots here. And then once we are inbound to Mikru, we'll descend to 11,000 or level 110. Although, I tell you what we'll do. Normally, ATC would get you clearance down to at least 5,000 feet once you pass the coastline here. So that's what we're going to do as well. I don't want to track too far outbound. So what I'm going to do also here is for the landing, I am going to set EPR and set the speeds. We go around 90% N1 later on. And so these are the approach speeds. 138, 143 is the speed we want to fly at. And then flaps 5, minimum speed is 159. Flap 2 speed, minimum 189. And clean speed is about 199 knots. Excellent. All right, look at that. Monaco coming up here. ASFL wave. Not to mention when a VOR was down, yeah. While we do this, we're going to prepare for the approach as well. So I'm going to put 119.65 in here. And then the inbound course should be for the approach VOR is 268 inbound. And then what we would normally do is go nav1 and listen to the identifier, Morse code. That's it's very, very quiet, but it's there, it's correct. So at least that's working. Right, that's identified. Inbound course is set, 268. I'm going to set that on, well, it's already set on this side. Excellent. And then now we are passing the coastline. Are we? Yeah. Lovely. Beautiful. Past the coastline here. Hey, Tuxu. Welcome. How are you? Nice to see you. So let's go down 5,000 QNHs. We'll do that with indicator airspeed. Oh, hang on. No. Disregard. No. No. With vertical speed. There we go. Idle power. Go close to idle, and then we'll descend at about 2,000 feet per minute. That should do it. Cool. All right. So we are currently, let's just check that. So we're currently at Mikru, and we're now flying outbound towards Otoki. However, I'm going to do that with heading, so that'll be about 107 degrees. And then we'll intercept that radial inbound. Well, actually, let's do parallel. Let's do that parallel. Let's do heading here. So let's go now on heading select. Now heading selected. 250 knots down to 5,000. QNH 1013 is set. Cool, 10,000 feet. Let's do the approach checks.
Approach checks.
Yeah, exactly. The visual part.
Nav beacon and local light set. Brake pressure check. Altimeter is set to 1013.
Yeah, 1013. And the 22 approach. So this is the visual circling part. And before that we have that, hang on, we have the VOR, this one here. Right, so we're currently here. We're going to turn, intercept this radial inbound, and then descend out of 3,000 at 12 degrees. That is the idea. And then the circling part is this one here. That is exactly the idea. Cool. Approach checklist was completed. Lights are on. Fantastic. And we're 23 miles out, which means we have to go a little bit further. Although if I fly base leg, yeah, we'll start heading inbound. Okay. Let's do that. Heading select. Ah, there we go. Now it's turning. We're almost on the inbound radial anyway, so let's turn all the way around. Re-intercept. And we'll descend down to 3,000 feet. Alt selected. Cool. And I'm going to start slowing down here. It's a very slippery aircraft. But this should do. Beautiful. You can see why people, the pilots back then, were so in love with this aircraft. So beautiful. Right, so let's descend further. We're slowing down nicely, but I want to descend further. It's about 1,000 feet per minute. Should do the trick. 250 knots. So again, we're about 27 miles out. So we're fine in the profile, vertical profile. It's just that we have to re-intercept that radial. And what we can do, for example, if we look at the RMI here, we can see that we're currently on the radial 080. Sorry, no, that's right, at 90. So radial 100, right? So radial 100 currently. Course would be 270 something, so we have to be right of that inbound needle to push that back to 268. So we want to have this needle pointing to 268, and so our heading has to be right of the head of the needle to push it away from us. So we pull the tail and we push the head. So now you can see we're about 7 degrees off. So we're slowly approaching the inbound course. Speed is 200. Let's go first set of flaps. But we'll maintain 200 knots. 220. Try not to get too slow. So the traffic behind us.
1,000 to go.
Yeah, 1,000's checked. Yeah, Ted, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, back then, you know, if you had really bad weather. But I mean, this had no autoland, right? So you had Cat 1 conditions. That's the lowest you could go, right? So you have to have a certain amount of visibility, and the cloud cover needs to be above a certain altitude. So, hey, Peter. Yeah, very nice, very nice. Very happy flying this beautiful jet here on our way from Frankfurt to Nice. And up to now, it's treated us very well, very nicely. And we're doing a nice runway 22 approach into Nice. So we are now on the radial. The wind should be pretty benign, so we can go now about heading 268 and see how that behaves on the radial there. So next now at 3,000 feet, 12.2 DMEs. So I need to slow down a bit more now. That's when we start the final descent down to 1,500 feet. And then we try to get visual with the runway. And at 5.5, we have to see the runway in order to continue visually with the approach. Right, just a little bit right of the radial, inbound radials are corrected a little bit. So yeah, the wind is from the south, so it is pushing us away to the north here. So that's that does make sense. Right, here's 3 miles to the final descent down to 1,500 feet. I am dialing in 1,500 feet here. Here comes flaps 2. Actually, flaps 5, I should say. Flaps 5. And I'm going to aim for about 180 knots roundabout. That looks good. Happy with that. 2 miles to this descent point. Gonna arm the next altitude. Although I don't want to descend just yet. There we go. And we're coming up to our descent point here at 12.2. Starting our descent. Ground speed should be about 180 knots, so 3 miles per minute. Reducing thrust. Try not to speed up too much. Still nicely on that inbound radial here. Still tracking beautifully inbound. And I can see that's the bay that we're going to fly. Here's the airport. I can already see that in the distance.
1,000 to go.
Ted, okay, it's in the shopping bus. It's waiting for wording. 1,000 to go was checked. Slowing down. Flaps 5. Clean speed was 160, around about 159. Yeah, 159. So 303 about there. Cool. All right. So 9 miles at 5.5. We decide to continue or to go around. Here comes the gear down. Beautiful. And flaps 15. Slowing down a bit more. Adding thrust, leveling off 1,500. Autopilot is off. My aircraft. So now we continue to level until we're at 5.5. We are sure that we see the airport. We do. It does hand fly beautifully. And auto brake, we're going to set. Oops, going to set to medium. Good, 5.5 decision. Airport in sight. Let's continue now visually. Here comes flaps 20. Flaps 25. I think we set flaps. Oh, yeah, actually, that's flaps 40. So flaps 30 is not full flaps. And this does not have automatic speed brakes, so we have to remember that to pull the speed brakes once we touch down. Cool. So, we are currently 4 miles. We should be 1,200 feet. So let's try to get the aircraft nicely trimmed for about 700 feet per minute to 800 feet per minute descent rate. A little bit fast still.
1,000.
Let's check. Try not to overshoot. 3 miles, 900 feet. Maybe just a tad low. And we're aiming for the right one. 2 to right is what we're aiming for. The speed is good. Have to descend a little bit slower now because but the aircraft flies absolutely beautifully. Alright, let's do a nice gentle turn to the final. Let's try to pick up the poppy lights. Still 3 miles. We should be a tad low, to my calculations. Although the VOR is a bit inside of the field. Speed is good. Yeah, I can see 4 reds. Looking for 1 white, though. And again, try not to overshoot. Yeah, picture looks a bit low, still correcting. So stop descent for now. And that's what I mean with overshoot. Here comes 1 white. So slowly starting descent. This is what I mean with a low level intercept on path. Trying to get the normal numbers now.
500.
Is that low level intercepts are so difficult because the overshoot can happen so quickly.
300.
Right. We did the checks, although the FE didn't do his checks.
200.
Busy navigating. Right, on path.
100. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
Come on, let's grease it. Oh, yes, please. Yes! Speed brakes. Now, deceleration. Now, I don't know how to activate the reversers. Just remember, I didn't model or set the button for that. Nice. Oh, the aircraft handles beautifully, I have to say. It hand flies very nice. Outer brakes disarmed. Speed brakes in. Ah, that was nice. Beautiful. Yeah, just overshot the center line a little bit. That's so typical if you are at low level. It happens so quickly.
Welcome to our destination airport.
And that's, yeah, I don't know how I do it.
Please remain seated and fasten your seatbelts.
Right.
Until the captain turns off the
So
fasten
landing.
Landing checks.
electronic
Flaps 30.
permitted after the seatbelt sign has been turned on.
Ignition set to
Contact
continuous.
ourselves and the entire cabin crew
Anti-skid is on.
complying with us.
Landing checks complete.
After landing. Let's put the flaps up.
Brake pressure checked. Pressure switched to ground.
Oh, I love that the FE does the lights. Look at that. That's really cool. It felt like melted butter back here. Hey, Gaby. Yeah, it did. Gaby, okay, so for those people that
Ignition set to off.
are looking forward to DCS, I could not get DCS the German map installed on our server. For some reason, it still doesn't accept the installation link. So I can't go on the server today, unfortunately, with the German tour. I mean, I'll try one more thing to get the map manually installed, but I'm not sure if that works or not. So that's disarmed. Fantastic. Flaps are up. Yeah, the server is updated, Gaby. I did the update today as well, so I'll check one more time. And if I get it working, then I'll give it like 15 minutes. And if it's working, then I'll do it. Otherwise, I got the Iraq map installed. That worked. At least that worked. So let's do 10 alpha. But I'm looking forward to the F4. Oh, nice lag. Yeah, so Ted, I think I know you love these old aircrafts, and this is definitely is a beauty.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the captain speaking. Please be seated until the seatbelt sign is turned off. We have to wait for instructions from the ATC. So next few minutes, we should continue taxi to our gate.
We are already there. What you mean? Huh? We are already here. Did he start the APU by any chance? It is. It is running, right? The question is, though, has he set the APU generators to on? It looks like it because the normal gens are already off, right? So it should be good to cut the engines. Right, let's do... All right. Yep, that worked. Fantastic. So now we'll do the beacon off stroke as well. No. Yeah, well, it was kind of learning by doing, right? I didn't know the SIVA worked the way it does here, because it is a bit different to what we had in the Flight JSIM 727. And I'm pretty sure there was another add-on somewhere that we used. So I was a bit confused about the indication here on the HSI, but all good. So let's deboard. And where are we? Right, let's see. Let's see though if let's do tower view. Ah, he's already landed. Sorry. MA, how was your flight? I hope you had a good flight. He was so close behind me there. So let's do the secure cockpit.
Securing aircraft checks. Parking brake is on. Transponder off. Engine and window anti-ice off. Beacon off. Emergency exit lights.
JBS, hey. So liveries, you want this are good. American Delta Continental. Nice. Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, you saw that it does take a little bit more kind of planning ahead, right? So you have to, keep in the loop. This aircraft is fast. And so you have to plan ahead. The problem is if you ever get behind the aircraft, it's going to be so difficult to catch up with it again. So what I mean is mentally. So if you get mentally behind the aircraft, it is so hard to get back on top of it. So that's why you have to always plan ahead. Always think about the next steps that you have to do. And my advice also is in the approach, don't go too fast, right? Just give yourself a few more miles. So reduce the airspeed, a little bit earlier if you can. Of course, if you're on VATSIM and then you have your given speeds, right, it makes it a bit more difficult. But if you ever plan to fly this beauty on VATSIM, please make sure that you practice prior. And another thing I'm not sure about is if the Siva is actually, like, it should not be RMP or INAF certified. So these days, it does take a GPS update as a requirement. So, and I mean, it does have GTN 750. So if you have the, an add-on, I have the GTN 750 from PMS, then, I mean, yeah, you can use that, right? And then you have the GPS updating as well. And then you could use the GPS then to steer the aircraft. I mean, that's a bit easier then, I guess, right? But if you want the good old days, then you would go with the Siva, like I did today. And then you got to be careful if you go on that sim. Because there's hardly, well, there's airports that don't really have any more conventional departures and arrivals. It's all RNF RMP these days. Yeah, nice. Thank you so much, everyone. Guys, give me about 15, 20 minutes. See if I can get the German map working on our server. If it does, I already have a file available to fly around. And then we'll explore the new German map. So the Cold War map. See what it's all about. Next stream, now I am going to try to do a stream on Monday evening. I'm going to try, okay? I have some real world duty coming up next week, Wednesday, but I have to leave to Frankfurt probably Tuesday. So Monday I'm aiming for another stream, because then afterwards it'll be the next weekend, so 27th, 28th or something. Cool. Alrighty. Guys, thank you so much, my dear moderators, as always. Thank you so much for watching. And if you do think about getting the aircraft here, it's nice. I think a lot of you already have bought the freighter version. So this is just another kind of an add-on to immerse yourself more realistically with passenger flights. So, but again, it hand flies beautifully. It does hand fly beautifully. And I do like the integration. So if you're like me and you're not really into the stuff regarding the FE panel, at least at the beginning, yeah, Ted, you're not going to regret this. This is a nice add-on. You're gonna enjoy that. I know that for sure. So yeah, once you get your head around the FE panel, then you could do that yourself, right? No big deal. But if you're not really into that, then this phone app really helps you nicely. Does reduce the workload tremendously. Very nice. MAN, you did 04 right. Really? Okay. Nice. Yeah, I thought you could also do 2-2. Perfect. Thank you very much, everyone. See you in a few minutes in DCS, otherwise on probably Monday. Guys, thank you so much for the support. As always, take care, stay safe, and have a great Easter weekend.